Another round of applause for the GBCS chorus. We have a few adult speakers who would like to share with you some of their thoughts now. I'd like to welcome Nurse Lynn McGlue.
Good morning. My glasses. My notes. Rina, when I think of the best of GBCS, I think of you. I miss you when you're not here, even though I know you're having a great time over there. But I'm always reminded when I look out my window and I see blooming flowers instead of weeds. It's so wonderful to see the seeds that have been sown by you. The flowers, of course, but the children that you touch with your generous spirit are the best effect. You help so many to bloom, and I want to thank you. And now I want to read a quote by Martin Luther King. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love, which is what you have. Thank you.
Susan Jackson, the chair of our Board of Trustees.
Dear Rina, saying thank you seems inadequate for all that you've done. I've only been at the school a few short years, so it's easy for me to take for granted all this wonderful landscaping. These beautiful gardens were here before my family came to the school, and if fortune favors us, they will be here for years after we've left. It'd be so easy to take them for granted and assume that all these flowers just grew here on their own, but all these trees and all these trees with them. But I think we know what a mistake that would be. Weeds happen, but gardens take work, and this one especially. I'm told that this garden, which is such an important part of our school, goes back about 10 years, when New Jersey Community Capital donated flowers and other plants and a whole lot of mulch. A few parents pitched in some plants of their own, but there was no one with a vision to tend the garden consistently, so in no time it was overrun with weeds. Then a couple of years later, you took charge. You started showing up with a trowel, with flowers, with bulbs, and with a whole lot of determination. And all of a sudden, this garden started taking shape. And it's been how many years now? 5 or 6? Look how beautiful it is. I'd match it against the garden of any other school in the city or in the state for that matter. This isn't just something to make the school look nice. It's a series of botany lessons. And I mean that literally. I think every parent who comes to the school in the afternoon who says something to you about the garden is going to hear about how the irises are doing or where the crocuses are or when this flower or that one is going to bloom. And not just we parents, but our children too. Over the years, as your health has allowed, you've deputized one student after another to help water the plants, to pull the weeds, and to make new additions to the garden. Let's also take a moment to think about the trees that our school has around the backyard and in the circle. I heard that last year you wanted to plant some new trees in the circle but couldn't get into the soil because it was packed so hard. From what I've heard, you actually went down to a construction crew on Joyce Kilmer Avenue and asked if they could use their machines to dig the holes for you. I don't know how you pulled it off, but they did, and our school has more trees because of it. A garden is a lot like a school. We take a seed and put it in the ground. We take a child and we put him or her in a classroom. We water the one and make sure it gets enough sunshine, and we take the other and make sure she gets opportunities to read, to play, and to discover. It takes a few months or a few years, but given time, they both flower and brighten our world. Thank you so much for enriching our garden with yours.
I'd like to introduce Donna Medea, our education director. Former, well, it's kind of like president, like you're still always president, right? So, and this whole event was Donna's idea a few years ago. So I'm very happy that she's here today to speak. Thank you, Donna.
It may have been my idea, but I could not pull it off. And I'm so happy that Miss Vanessa was able to do that. I heard a few people, and I'm not really prepared with words, but I have things I want to say. And I heard some of the students say that they always remember that from the first time they were here, they remember Miss Rina working in the gardens. Well, when I started in 2006, we didn't have Miss Rina, and there was nothing but weeds here. And it bothered me to no end. Every day that I came in, I wanted to have the time to go out and pull the weeds. She has transformed the front of our school. It has such a wonderful appearance. We get compliments on it. I think we have one of the most attractive schools in the state. And that's all to her. But not only that, she has made such strong connections with the children that it's just a wonderful thing to watch. I would come out here and see her working with little kindergartners, and they're having fun. But then I see her working with middle school kids, and they're having fun, and that's amazing. But not only are they having fun, but they're learning about plant life and about life in general, and just what it means to keep our environment beautiful. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Rina, because it is a very important task that you've done, and I hope you keep doing it for a very long time.
Before we hand the microphone to you, I have a few words that I'd like to share. I grew up in a house where the people were far outnumbered by plants. When we moved from Ohio to New Jersey when I was 11, literally half of the large moving truck was plants. Right, Dad? Yes. When I was 3 or 4 years old, my mother convinced me that the ficus plant liked to be pet, like the cats did. Of course, I carefully pet each leaf, as I was guided to do. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized I was simply dusting the plants. My mother has a way of getting people to care for plants and making it fun. I used to think it was just me, but as you just heard from our students, I'm not alone. Students will often leave the playground equipment and run over to help my mom with planting during their recess time. She tends to show up at GBCS with plants spilling out of her car. Mums, tulips, daffodils, and more. Typically, she obtains these plants by walking up to a neighbor's yard and explaining her friendship garden, or charming a store owner getting a plant for free or $1 each. She sees the potential in half-dead plants that most of us don't see. But now, you students, you see it too. You happily help her dig holes and plant drooping hyacinths and mums that are past their prime. It seems pointless at the moment, but 11 months later, when they decorate the landscape in full bloom, we realize she's a genius. Kelly Rook, a local master gardener, has a soft spot for GBCS and volunteers here even though her children don't go to this school. I know she values community gardening, but deep down, I know she comes back to play in the gardens with my mom. The same could be said for 4-H's Laura Eppinger and the many other gardener volunteers. My mother has endless energy and enjoys little more than teaching children about nature. Often, when I'm in my office, I'll catch a glimpse of movement outside my window. Sure enough, it's my mom, playing with the flowers, sneakily planting my favorite irises that smell like grape Kool-Aid. My mother's love of plants is contagious, as is her love of children. So far, I've inherited one of those passions. Earlier this morning, we celebrated all of the GBCS parent volunteers. Like the students at GBCS who see their parents pitching in, I feel very lucky to see my mother in the hallways, modeling for me the value and joy of hard work. On behalf of GBCS, I would like to thank her and present her with this quilted wall hanging to remind her of the work she loves and our appreciation for it. We will end with a few words from my mom, Rina Jones. And as we dismiss afterward, the chorus is going to do an encore performance of their songs.
Oh, all of a sudden, I understand why the Academy Awards runs. All of a sudden, I understand why the Academy Awards run so long. I was sitting there thinking about all the people I should thank. The master gardeners, the waterers, which, to quote Kelly, I guilted into watering for me. The mom and pop greenhouses that donate all their leftover, the leftover plants, their leftover fruit that I cut up and make fruit salads for the children. But first and foremost, I need to thank the children. They are my first love, my great love. Teaching is the second one, and growing things is the third. I see every one of them grow with me. The kindergartens, everybody comes out and wants to play, and I charm them and I teach them. I bully the middle schoolers, and they do great work for me, even when they're not scheduled to do it. And I tell them that they don't have to work with me, but if they do, they have to be respectful and they have to listen. A friend of mine who has nothing to do with GBCS, but who is a great gardener and great friend, one time told me that I was generous and she was not, because she applied her skills to her garden and I did it for others. I set her straight right away. I come here because I am selfish. You keep my sanity, you give me joy, and I am very, very grateful. Thank you.
So friends, please follow your teacher's directions as we go back to class and proceed with our normal day and enjoy the choruses, songs of our encore.
Dig, That you were walking in, and some of the middle school kids were like, Miss Donna. I have the information if you're interested. Like, yes, she knows.
So I figured better than a plaque on your wall, you could have a quilt on your wall.
And this is one of my favorite pictures. Mom. I have come with a CRV food to the gills, and the kids come out to play, and they said, "Can we play?" And by the time the session was over, I don't know. That's what happened.
You know, it's so funny when was it Lisa or was it Jared? Susan. I'm like, here it was all weeks. I remember going up to the work day and Patrick was like, this is paint and this is paint and this is paint. I said, I have my gardening cart. And I'm waiting.
We're live on Facebook. Live on Facebook.
They're watching it in the kitchen.
See, now
Great idea, dear.
we got
By the time I got coming out of class at 3:30, I was like, oh my God, I can't take it off. And then I realized, well, if I can't find it. And welcome
exactly.
And the woman who did this had never done people before.
Wow.
So it was like, so it was a challenge for her, yeah. I don't have a plaque on her wall. What is she going to do? Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Surprise! Did you know? Thank you so much. We didn't want to talk about it. Thank you for all your work. Gracias. Well, she was there, I said, I'll see you Friday. Yeah. Okay. You get Yeah, thank you. I didn't even notice. I know. Why? I was like, yeah, that was so impressive. The teachers did a good job. Peter, oh my God. Got her. And yes. And this is great. I love it.
Yeah, putting things away, Anna. Because Romano's right there. She's happy to help.
Oh, okay. I'll make her come back. Yes. Now you're re-energized.
And I'm trying to get some shots of the video.
You're live on Facebook.
Oh, yay. Get me off of that. I'm having a social media blackout this week. Okay.
Right after that.
They're soft. Oh, yeah. So they're soft. They're soft.